chorus. This guitar part has a touch of wah-wah to it, and it has some of that feel of acid rock to it,
Mhm.
um, which is an unexpected influence to hear in this song. It sounds great. It really does. And as I say, real surprise. But I can't shake the feeling that there's a fiddle player bundled up, roped and gagged, lying in the bed of a pickup truck parked around the back of the studio. Um, Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Audiophiles, you bastard. My name's John, his name is Andy. Scratching like a tomcat, got a monkey on my back. I'm going to push and pull and howl like a wolf and drive my Cadillac. More on that later. But first, we have a tune to listen to. What have you got for us, Andy?
Well, I hope you brought your shit kickers, John, because I'm going to have you check out a band called Copper Chief. And if you don't have your shit kickers, you could at least have a good pair of snakeskin boots, which also happens to be the name of the track by Copper Chief that I'd like you to check out. So, you have never heard Copper Chief before? That name doesn't ring any bells?
No, I
Okay.
am familiar with the concept of put on your shit kickers and kick some shit, as I believe our Irish cousins in the House of Pain would have us believe. But yeah,
Excellent. Well, this is a little different take than than House of Pain, but I guess the same sort of shit kicking mentality, at least sound for sure. But I'd love to hear your perspective on this track. So go off, give Snakeskin Boots by Copper Chief a listen, and come back. Let me know what you think.
Okey-dokey.
This is a song about methamphetamine and killing people. A song about North Texas, where I grew up, where Route 35 goes into Oklahoma. At one point, we were the number 3 methamphetamine county in the entire state. I guess you gotta be proud of something. Sun go down, my cousin, come and get me out of bed. Seen too many sunsets, smelling like crystal meth. We'd be cooking on a back road on our grandpa's land. Everywhere my cousin went, he always looked his best. Had those pearl-snap shirts and them snakeskin boots and that 45 revolver. He knew how to shoot 'cause he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. Grandma took him 'cause his mama left. We'd finish the back.
Okay, so funny beginning. This is a song all about. You don't expect it normally to be methamphetamine and killing, but and so you got these you got these stereotypes established, and off we go with the song, and it's a little bit tongue in cheek with him and his cousin cooking up on Grandpa's land. The only sort of insight I have into this is from watching Justified, which is Kentucky, but the same kind of thing, I guess. Kind of hilarious from the people looking on the outside and the way they're presented, but pretty grim for those inside. And then we get to the chorus, where it sort of lets rip musically, that guitar. It's going on about the titular footwear and his 45 revolver that he knows how to shoot because he was raised by Cherokees. I don't know if those two things should be related, but they are. And he's with his grandma because his mama left. But musically, it's got just a dash extra to it. There's like a really nice Hammond organ, I think it is. It's going away there. And then after the chorus, we had a little bit of a break with a nice guitar motif again with the Hammond organ. And it doesn't sound like your bog standard country rock. There's a little bit extra to it. Interesting. Funny lyrics.
That's my cousin, he'd haul it to Ardmore. He'd hustle and flow, get the most that he could for it. 2 weeks went by, my cousin never showed. Grandma called the police, told him what he wore. Had that pearl snap shirt, snakeskin boots, and that 45 revolver. He knew how to shoot, 'cause he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma, where my grandma took him 'cause his mama lived. They found my cousin dead.
Well, that was a surprise. And with a light, it's about a while sort of coming in doing that. It's almost a bit sort of acid rocky. Got a touch of the old 60s feel to it. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, I don't know how far back, I've got no idea. Let's go.
Grandma took him 'cause his mama lived. They found my cousin dead. He was floating in the Red River. Somebody robbed him just to get their quiver. They shot him in the head, so I don't think it hurt.
Pick up the notes.
No one we dressed him in as we dropped him in the dirt. He had that pearl snap shirt, snakeskin.
I'll write it a second. Because it's interesting. So that bit there, obviously, they found him dead, floating in the river. And the chorus of the da-da, 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 ready for the sort of announcement. You also do this quite an old-fashioned thing I think they used to do in songs where the chorus is obviously the repeated catchy bit that everyone that hooks people in and sing along to it. As it's repeated, you can learn it quicker, and the verse is the sort of narration and an old school way of doing it. And what they always used to do is try and make it so that although repeating the chorus, it actually fits with the narration. You know, he wore these boots when they dragged him out of the river. He was wearing, and so it kind of makes sense and flows. We're not just repeating the words for the sake of it. It flows with the story, which is a really old school way of doing it.
Boots and that 45 revolver. He knew how to shoot 'cause he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. Grandma took him 'cause his mama lived. Had that pearl snap shirt, snakeskin boots, 45 revolver. He knew how to shoot 'cause he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. Grandma took him 'cause his mama lived. His mama lived. His mama lived.
That organ sounded really nice. They just got a little bit more for the end. That sounded great. Yeah, within the sort of limited confines of this music, they definitely painted a little bit outside the lines in terms of incorporating different sounds and influences, which made it more interesting than your standard clodhopper rock, which is not a big thing on this side of the pond, to be honest with you. You know, and rightly so. You've got your country, and we've got Morris dancing. Yeah. Less said about that, the better. So yeah, really interesting, quite fun, a bit tongue in cheek, I think. But yeah, I enjoyed it. We'll have to go back and find out some more by chatting up with Andy.
All right, so you're back, I'm sure, wearing your finest pair of snakeskin boots. What did you make of this track, John?
So, your man introduces the song, a tradition in cod country tracks down the ages. This one has a modern twist. The song is about meth and killing people. It makes me wonder what the reaction would have been if Johnny Cash had done this in San Quentin. Anyway, it just popped into my head. It's quite
a fair question to ponder.
Yeah, it seems that they were the third meth county in the entire state of Texas. He doesn't say if they are now lower or higher in the ratings, but he's still proud nonetheless. All this is declared to a sort of background of anticipatory sort of guitar strumming. It's kind of prowling in the long grass, for want of a better metaphor, and the very sure-handed thumping beat from the drummer. So we have our redneck stereotypes firmly established, and your man starts as the first verse, and the hits keep on coming. I reckon firmly from out of the side of his mouth. These crackers, him and his cousin, are cooking up on Grandpa's land. Yeah, a lot of fun. I think I said in the reaction that, like, culturally, my only sort of touchstone for this is watching Justified, which is Kentucky. I know, but again, I'm just looking at these. I'm picturing all these sort of these toothless wonders, you know, called Cletus and stuff like that. I mean, really funny cast of characters in that show, and this like, you know, takes a bottle with this sort of meth. It's not Breaking Bad, I'm telling you that, you know. So yeah, the music launches into full throttle at the chorus, and we are presented at this point with the titular footwear. It seems essential equipment in meth cooking, along with a .45 revolver. Because the said cousin was raised by Cherokees, the gentleman in question knows how to shoot. I don't know how these two things are necessarily related, but it's not my yarn. Anywho, the vocals are properly opened up, bolstered by a sturdy Hammond organ in the chorus, which sounds really nice, and it gives a different kind of feel, just a slight different tinge to the usual clodhopper rock. Amidst the snarling, I hear the words Oklahoma and Grandma. And then we get a really nice little sort of lead guitar breakette. Yeah, it sounds really pleasant. And then we're going to change a beat into the next verse. More cracker antics. They finish a batch. But his cousin, or I think flogging it, goes missing for 2 weeks. Naturally, Granny calls the po-po. And then launch into the chorus again. Which again is the usual stuff before. We now launch into a sort of different instrumental break out of this chorus. This guitar part has a touch of wah-wah to it, and it has some of that feel of acid rock to it, which is an unexpected influence to hear in this song. It sounds great. It really does. And I'd say real surprise. But I can't shake the feeling that there's a fiddle player bundled up, roped and gagged, lying in the bed of a pickup truck parked around the back of the studio. The next verse, we hear that the cousin is a floater, corpse-wise, that is. Yes. Luckily, he had that famous pain-free execution of a bullet to the dome. This verse has got those narrative chords that sort of are climbing the ladder of expectation as they're singing it, until we build to the chorus again. And this third chorus, I noticed they've done it before actually, but it's a really old school method of narrative where you have this repeated chorus, and it's repeated because it's the chorus because it's repeated, but it's the catchy hooky bits which people can immediately, you know, grab onto and perhaps sing along to because it's repeated. However, what they do in this, and it's quite, again, as I say, it's quite an old school method, is they make it such that the words of the chorus fit into the story narration, you know. he was wearing when they're cooking up this. Grandmaster reports him missing, and he was described as wearing this. When they pulled him out of the river, he was still wearing this. So it doesn't like just suddenly they just repeat the chorus again. It actually fills in, which again, it's really old-fashioned way of writing a song, and it's quite pleasing. So yeah, we get another cameo, guitar cameo, similar to the very first one, and it's back to the chorus one more time. And as they sort of repeat "His Mama Left" a couple of times, the fading tones of the Hammond organ take us out. It sounds really nice at that point. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Subject wise, it's just hilarious. Yeah, this is sort of carry on Breaking Bad or something. It's just really funny. It is more like the comedic touches actually are justified. It doesn't remind me like that. But what's really interesting about this sort of, simple kind of country rock type thing with these good old boys turned bad is the other influences in it. That sort of 60s feel with the Hammond bouncy organ. Again, the acid rock, which is quite a 60s thing as well, with a touch of psychedelia involved in all that's involved in acid rock, just makes this a little bit more interesting. And this is a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. I was hoping you would. And we also have a thing where we morbidly kind of gravitate toward like murder ballads and things like that. And this is clearly like a country western version of the murder ballad in its own right, And you also mentioned something I think is really important too, and I'm glad you did, which is this kind of style of writing where the progression of the narrative validates, or to paraphrase a title of the show that you just mentioned, justifies the repetition of the chorus, because it fits in each part of the narrative as it goes, and again it validates why it's not just thrown in there because it's a chorus and it has to be, structurally speaking, involved more than once. It has, I don't know, it just carries more weight because it matters at each juncture in which it appears in the song. And you're right, it's not used enough anymore in modern music, and I like that it appears in this sort of Johnny Cash Outlaws-y kind of way. So yeah, I'm glad you caught on to that, and I'm really glad you enjoyed the tune. But yeah, Copper Chief, they're based out of South Austin, Texas, and the band is comprised of Mike Vallier on vocals and guitar, Rio Tripiano on vocals and lead guitar, Justin Lusk on vocals and bass, and John Jamal II on drums. Their sound is considered a blend drawing from musical canons of several Southern styles, including roots, rock and roll, country, soul, swamp, psychedelic, and blues. This unapologetic sound, paired with their high energy and free-flowing live shows, have been hailed as a refreshing experience in today's musical climate. The band formed in the fall of 2015, and by 2017, they recorded and released their debut self-titled album. Since its release, the guys have been burning a path all across Texas and the surrounding states to steadily growing crowds. In 2019, the band won New Band of the Year, and at the 2019 Texas Regional Radio, at the 2019 Texas Regional Radio Music Awards. So they're very much a regional band, which is kind of criminal in and of itself, because they have a sound, I think, that is worthy of other, regions and even areas of the world kind of latching onto and enjoying. They've got a great sound going for them. Carrie Dean of 106.9 The Ranch reviewed the album and wrote, "Many bands struggle to find their identity, only to find themselves riding a one-trick pony for most of their careers. But I can tell you now, Copper Chief knows exactly who they are, and they never flinch. They wear their influences and inspirations like medals on their chest for all to see. They use these influences and inspirations like a chef uses spices to create masterpieces, and they have all the right spices." He would add, "I was hearing keys wash the background in tones that Deep Purple and Boston used so well, but at the same time I was hearing Soul Asylum, Zeppelin, Drive-By Truckers, and a hint of the Beatles in melodies and production. And in an instrumental, I even heard Eddie Van Townsend. Stylistically, I heard a power ballad in Jericho and swampy juke joint bluegrass in Muddy Water. I heard the love child of Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress and Born to Be Wild in Knees. A fiddle and steel waltz is the game in the tasty hill country fog. And after all is a hill country Johnny and June tune, if there would have ever been one. Either way is as Beatles as you can get and still keep a hat on. And Shape I'm In is a classic Jason and the Scorchers garage country all the way. Roll On, Snakeskin Boots, and the blistering down the river or down to the river are proof that real rock and roll is still alive in the world. Faster Than the Flame is a clever spaghetti western set in a swamp. So that's a pretty good summation of all the tracks on their album. Done so with even just reading it, the charm clearly of a guy that's been working at a Texas radio station for a lot of his life, which is great.
Sorry, Andy, just while you were saying that, I had a quick look because you're saying about how local they are. I just wondered, so I had a look. Population of Texas, 31 million. Population of California, 39 million. You add them together, that's more than the UK.
Yeah.
They, in a way, you get a few states around the bottom of America, and you're sorted. You were saying more than a European band. Yeah,
exactly. You're going to be sitting just pretty if that's as far as you get, because, like you mentioned, huge population that clearly would dig this kind of sound for sure. So yeah, let's jump into these lyrics. This here is a song about methamphetamine and killing people. A song about North Texas, where I grew up, where I-35 goes into Oklahoma. At one point, we were the number 3 methamphetamine county in the entire state. Quite a badge of honor. I guess you got to be proud of something. Sun goes down. My cousin comes and gets me out of bed. Seen too many sunsets smelling like crystal meth. We be cooking on the back roads on our grandpa's land. Everywhere my cousin went, he always looked his best. Had those pursed up shirts and them snakeskin boots and that .45 revolver he knew how to shoot. Because he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. Grandma took him because his mama left. We finished the batch. My cousin, he'd haul it to Ardmore. He'd hustle and flow, get the most that he could for it. 2 weeks went by. My cousin never showed. Grandma called the police, told them what he wore. He had that pursed up shirt, snakeskin boots, and that .45 revolver he knew how to shoot. Because he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. Well, Grandma took him because Mama left. We found my cousin dead. He was floating in the Red River. Somebody robbed him just to get their quiver. They shot him in the head, so I don't think it hurt. Know what we dressed him in when we dragged him into the dirt. He had that pursed up shirt, snakeskin boots, and that .45 revolver he knew how to shoot. Because he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. Grandma took him because Mama left. Had that pursed up shirts, snakeskin boots, .45 revolver he knew how to shoot. Because he'd been raised by Cherokee in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. Grandma took him in because his mama left. His mama left. His mama left. So yeah, just really great. I mean, I know it's morbid shit. I know. But in a world where we can all agree that Breaking Bad was one of the greatest television shows and we have all this shit going on, it's there's something charming about it despite all that fucking morbid storytelling, and I just love it. I don't know. It's just, there is this, like, this is what I love about country music. Not the mainstream shit that gets pushed out, but like the Billy Strings, like the Tyler Childers, like this songwriting. It tells great stories that are so easy to follow and accessible, even if you are. I mean, look, the culture from Baltimore City and the demographics of Baltimore City compared to like Oklahoma and North Texas are about as different as they are from England to North Texas. So it's, it's not as if I am from this, and certainly you aren't. And yet we can still both sit here, laugh with the humorous bits, enjoy it for what it is. And yeah, it's just great songwriting in my opinion. So I'm glad you liked it too, John.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Excellent, excellent. Guys out there in the listening audience, please tell us your thoughts on this track, Snakeskin Boots by Copper Chief. If it reminded you of anything, there's plenty of stuff that they've mixed into this interesting cocktail. So if you extrapolated anything that John and I haven't mentioned, please feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments field below. We love hearing from you guys. If you have any other song suggestions by this band or a band akin to them or really anybody, also drop those down in the comments field below. We love adding those to our list for Friday episodes. It will take some time, but we will get to it, I assure you. Also, please like, share, and or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. It really does help us over here at the channel, and we really do appreciate it. All that out of the way, hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers in the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.